Welcome to the making of a real-time strategy game, Part 0. Yeah, Part 0, the introduction. First, why develop a real-time strategy game? Well, I had two choices. My favorite games are the Civilization series and Warcraft 3, 4 vs 4 not single-player style games. I thought Civilization would take too long, so I was going to do something similar to Warcraft 3, 4 vs 4. 4 vs 4 had a revolving rock, paper, and scissors strategy, so the games were always different and offered replayability. I wanted to try and develop a game with similar experience, but for a single player. In an RTS, you build units, defend, and defeat opponents. However, I did not want the death ball that RTS games typically have, in that the player stays near their base, defends against AI waves, then builds a max-size army and rolls over the AI. The death ball typically has unlimited sustain, meaning there is no limits to offense once it gets going. I would want limits to the sustain, requiring the army to go back to base to recharge and rearm. I also do not like the standard upgrade system that RTSs have, in which there's a building that researches upgrades and, like magic, all units get the upgrade afterwards. Games like the 2 Point series, the upgrades are earned individually, with the units having to go into a training room after enough experience is gained. I prefer combat not be symmetric. The player gets a smaller amount of units, and, like zombie games, the AI rushes with a large amount of weak units. I also like expanding the base and building towers. I do not like the idea of staying near the main base. The starting point is just an abstract idea, but it wasn't something that I had to theorycraft. It was actually all my favorite mechanics of strategy games I have played, though I did not know how to make these ideas into a game. I have been wanting to make this game for a while, but didn't do anything until I heard about Godot in reference to Unity's price model change late 2023. I have looked at Unreal, but didn't like the blueprint graphs. I tried Unity before, but I didn't like it either. So I took a look at Godot, and was like, maybe, I'll start. But I procrastinated for a while. Finally, the timing opened up, so I started in June 2024, without knowing how the game works, with a simple question. Why gather resources? Most of the time there is an obvious answer, to build units. But I wouldn't have that many units, so I was thinking of Tropico, that coal is used to generate power. Power is advantageous to improving factory productivity and happiness in that game. Why do I need power? Well, the towers need power to defend against the zombies. That was a start, but not that interesting. However, earlier in that day, I saw an article that California was able to power the grid during the day with renewables. I was wondering, what about the night? Well, the article later stated the solution is batteries. So the zombies would attack, overwhelming the power plant's generating capabilities, and drain the battery, and the player would hope to hang on. I thought this was a terrific idea and gave me something to implement. I am not saying the idea is unique in video games. I'm sure it has been done before. I have not played it before though. All of the game mechanics that followed the power grid were from asking questions and getting an answer. But I couldn't ask these questions earlier when I was thinking about how the game worked. I need to be at the point where I have to see what I have and ask what is next. Gradually over time, the game, which was an abstract idea, turned into defined mechanics. However, often I would implement everything at least twice. The building system switched from a HUD to a Warcraft 3 style. The trucks use avoidance, and then flocking, and then avoidance with formations. Most of the maps were redone in a second pass, and that was after they were already iterated several times. While I am working on the game mechanics, I found that Godot and most other game engines are not suited to an RTS with thousands of units, so I would have to work on what would be considered game engine components too. The development of this RTS likely resembles game development of the past, where the engine and mechanics are done at the same time and then it takes a while to figure out how to make the maps. I realized it would make an interesting video series. Most how-to videos use a game engine as intended and involve adding assets, scripting, and most of the work is the map development. And they do not really cover how the mechanics of the games were developed. This video series does not focus on the coding or being a tutorial. There are longer and better videos on most topics that are covered. Its purpose is to show how the game mechanics are developed and the process of making a game from the start. Perhaps it is useful for someone stuck in development or for someone who wants to see the entire process from start to finish. All the videos are made in hindsight. I was able to do this since I have a complete development log to reference, plus I have all the backups. In developing this RTS, the main things I have learned: start with a set vision. Anytime there is a design decision, ask, will it get the game closer to fulfilling this vision? I held on to the initial ideas in this video, and eventually led me to make a playable game. I was unable to theorycraft in the start how the game mechanics would work. I learned I need to implement parts of the game first to see what is there, to be able to ask questions, and to get answers. Iterating this enough times, I solved the game mechanics. This game is unique, at least to me, so when I put the mechanics together, I got stuck in trying to figure out how to make maps. I've never played this game before, so how would I know? To move forward, I had to start with small maps, adding a few mechanics at a time. Eventually, I figured it out, and it wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. I'll leave it at there. There are 17 more videos after this one. Thanks for watching.